For the last look dev video, we're gonna very quickly look at how to fine-tune your colors and how to fine-tune your scene before you head into compositing. So I've got the same scene that I was using before. It looks slightly different than the end result, but I like doing this from scratch so people can see exactly what's going on. Again, I started from a previs file. I've now put in some lighting. I've messed with the shaders. I've added all these modifiers in for the really crazy effect that's going on here. And the last thing I want to do is sort of look at what kind of mood I'm trying to create and see if I can change the colors a little bit and get it to something feeling a little bit more cinematic before I actually move into compositing. Now, I tend to do a lot of look dev in this little color management tab because it allows you to mess with the colors in different ways. Again, this is something that that falls under my idea of everything as a tool. Most people don't like to mess with these because, especially if you're working in a studio or you're working in a pipeline with other people, if you're starting to mess with colors on the color management level of everything, then yeah, maybe it's not the best idea. That being said, if you're doing this kind of stuff on your own and you need to have a really quick turnaround, you can do some really interesting color correction very quickly in just the color management window. So generally I like to mess with these. If you hold down Control and scroll, you can go through these different view color management settings. Now for the final result, I believe I use the RT color management. There's other people that really like the film one. The reason I don't like this one as much is it clamps down your colors quite a bit, and you can get results where your whites aren't really 100% white, and that bugs me sometimes because I like to have a nice dynamic range in the final image and a lot of contrast. So I found that the RT one gives really nice contrast to start with. It does mess with your colors a little bit, but you can always go use these curves and do some stuff. So that being said, I like messing with the exposure, maybe messing with the gamma, bring up the gamma a bit. There we go. Just until I get something that looks quite nice. Now, these looks as well, you can scroll through them. Again, these sort of have a similar issue to the film color management here, where I find that sometimes you can get really weird clamped colors or you get really washed out stuff. And of course, if you want to use them, just use them if you get a really cool result. Nobody's stopping you. But generally, if I want to mess with the colors, I go over to the Curves tab and mess with the individual color curves. So for example, I can bring in just a little bit of extra contrast coming back in. And you know, sometimes some of the stuff you do up here sort of contradicts what you're doing down here, but it's all about granular control and just messing around and trying to find something that you think looks good. Now, for example, if we go into the red portion and go really blue or really red, or I can just do minor tweaks where I'm like, oh, maybe I just want to have not as much reds in my image, just a touch. Again, same with the greens. As you can see, the white is turning a little green bluish here, so do the same thing, pull back the green a little bit and pull back the blue a little bit to go back to something more white. That being said, I've noticed that I found that if you add a little bit of blue into your image, it can really increase the sort of film or realistic feel of things. But again, a lot of this stuff is subjective, so don't worry about it too much. The main part, the main reason for this video is to check out the color management tab, have a look at it, mess around with it. Don't be afraid to try all these things out. Again, people get really uppity about this stuff, so who cares? It's a tool. Try and use it, try and mess with it, and try and get a nice end result. So there we go. I think that's fairly close to the end result of the video before I actually go into compositing. So that's it for the look dev videos. I hope they're interesting, and some of this stuff will be explained more in detail in the techniques section of the videos, where I talk about all kinds of things that I use, and I talk about a lot more of the different combinations that you can do. So, all right, time to move on to the next one, I guess.